Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about the 5 games on my Switch that I have played the most of. Now, these aren't necessarily my favorite games on the system. I would say at least 2 of them are, but they're just really the games that I've put most time into so far, just because they're either long playthroughs, there's a lot to do, you know, that kind of stuff. So the Switch is my favorite modern console, and it's one of my favorite consoles of all time. I love this thing. So here's my Switch. I actually got these Hori controllers for it. They don't have vibration function, they don't have motion control, but they work really well for, especially for 3D games. The grip is a lot better, and it feels pretty good. They do feel a little cheap, but it's not terrible. They are licensed, so by Nintendo, so they're pretty quality for the most part. But I love this system. I can play it wherever in the house. I actually play this more in portable mode than I do in docked mode, just because I can go lay in bed and play one of these games that's on this list, for a couple minutes before I go to sleep. It's really cool. I love the Switch. It is one of my favorite consoles of all time. So anyway. So the first game I'm going to talk about is Octopath Traveler. This game is an RPG that was created by Square Enix. I know that there's like a sub-team or a development team that I can't remember their name off the top of my head, that actually did the development for it. And I know they're coming out with something new called Project Triangle Strategy. I think that's the same team. Anyway, Octopath Traveler is a traditional turn-based RPG, Japanese RPG, that actually has a job system, much like Final Fantasy V or Final Fantasy Tactics, and that's what really drew me into it. The story is fairly good. There's really like 8 stories altogether, and you play through each character story because there's 8 characters. It's big thing about number 8. But it's a really enjoyable playthrough. I put a lot of hours into it. I wouldn't say it's necessarily my favorite game on the system or one of my favorites on the system, but it's definitely a worthy playthrough, especially if you like JRPGs or retro-styled RPGs. One thing I do want to mention, the graphics. A lot of people like to say that it's like a 16-bit looking game. Personally, I think it looks more like a PlayStation RPG, like one that has the 3D backgrounds with the sprites for characters and monsters and such. To me, it really looks more like a PS1 RPG. That's not a bad thing at all. I think it looks great. I love the music. The music is so good. Oh my god. The music in this rivals that of a lot of Final Fantasy games, and that's saying a lot. But again, definitely check this game out if you're a fan of these types of games. The next game I'm going to talk about is The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Yeah, it's Skyrim on the Switch. It's not the best way to play the game, but I really do enjoy it because I can go and play it portable mode a couple minutes before bed, like I mentioned earlier. I haven't actually beaten the story mode in Skyrim on the Switch. I've kind of actively avoided it just because I don't need to play through the story again. I have literal hundreds, if not thousands of hours in Skyrim across all platforms that I've played it on. I first played it on PS3, I then played it on PC, PC again with mods, and then the upgraded visuals version of it on PC as well. Put another couple hundred hours into it there. I love Skyrim. It's not the best game in the Elder Scrolls series. I still maintain that Morrowind is probably my favorite game of all time, but Skyrim is super accessible, so it's really easy to play or just pick up and play, and it's a great RPG for role-playing stuff in your head. Like every time I make a character in Skyrim, I actually kind of make up a backstory for them myself. Just to kind of role play, myself for myself in my head. So like I make decisions in Skyrim based on what my character would actually do, instead of just going around and completing everything, which I did my first playthrough or two, but now, just to make it a little more interesting, like currently the character that I've got going is a thief character. So he was just like, screw these dragons, I don't care. He went straight to Riften to go join the Thieves Guild, and he's been making his way around doing that kind of stuff. So Skyrim's great. I get the criticisms of it being released on everything under the sun, but I enjoy it, so it's a good game. Okay, so the next game on this list is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Excellent game. I love open world games, as you can tell. The last game I just talked about was also an open world game. Breath of the Wild just has that visual, that's those stunning visuals, and it just really encourages exploration, because there's just little things to find all over the place. And especially if you're like a longtime Zelda fan, and you look at the map and you see some of these areas that are named after areas in previous Zelda games. There's like this ranch here. The old ranch ruins are obviously a throwback to Lon Lon Ranch for those Ocarina of Time fans out there. There's a bunch of other stuff like that too. But there's so many things to just do, just to mess around in this game. I actually have not beaten this on the Switch. I beat it on the Wii U whenever it first came out, because I didn't have a Switch right away, but I needed to play the game right away. So I played through it on Wii U, and I loved it. Bought it again for the Switch when I got my Switch, and I still haven't finished it. I've logged a crap ton of hours into it, but I haven't finished it. I feel like that says a lot about Breath of the Wild, that I can put so many hours into it, not have beaten it, and keep coming back to it. Phenomenal game. It's just, there's something about it that just makes me happy. So I like to boot it up and play through a couple quests and stuff every once in a while, or just go around and find weird mounts that you wouldn't normally grab. So like, hey, I got a skeleton horse. That's cool. Instead of just like a normal horse. Obviously it dies when the sun comes up. That sucks, but it's neat. It's a neat little thing. I don't know. If you guys are watching this channel, you know about Breath of the Wild. I don't have to go into it at great length, but just know that I love this game and I've put a lot of hours into it. The next game on this list is the only Fire Emblem game I've ever played, and that is Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now, I say that I had ever played up to the point that this was released. I have since then bought the original Fire Emblem that was released, re-released on the Switch, and I've only put a little bit of time into it. I like that game too. I just haven't finished it yet. But Fire Emblem Three Houses, holy crap. I have played through this game literally 5 or 6 times, like from beginning to end. I keep going through the New Game Plus system, because once you beat it, you can carry over a bunch of crap into the next playthrough. There are actually 4 paths that you can play through in Fire Emblem Three Houses. There are 3 houses, and one of those houses you can actually play through 2 different ways. And the first time I got this, I love tactical RPGs, first of all. So the gameplay just really, really drew me in. The art direction is great. I love how when you go into the battles, it's just this big grid-based map, but it all zooms in whenever you go to fight an enemy. So it's like the big map is just kind of a representation of the battlefield, but the real battlefield is whenever it zooms in and you actually fight your enemies. The presentation's great. The music's amazing. Oh my god, the music is phenomenal. The story's really good, and the thing that really makes me love this more than anything is the fact that there's like this social system where you can make friends with your characters, and there's all this character growth between people. So like, not only do the characters themselves have growth, but like they build relationships with each other, and you can like get them to pair off, and in the end they'll be, you know, they'll have an end together. Like it just shows up as some text at the end, but it's still fun. And, you know, of course there's romance options for your character, and that kind of stuff I eat up whenever it comes to RPGs. And the fact that it's blended in with a tactical RPG, which I also love. Yeah, whenever this game first came out, I played through it 4 times to see all the paths back to back to back to back. Like I played through the game as many times as I could to see all of the endings. And then when the DLC came out, I waited a couple months before I did it again, because I just played it 4 freaking times. But then I played through it again, and it's such a good game. I love Fire Emblem Three Houses. I'm really excited to dig into more of the series. I know a couple of the games that I want to play are pretty expensive, but you know, well, I'll play them some way. But I am excited to get into the Fire Emblem series, specifically because people have said that this is not the best one in the game or in the series, and I loved it that much, so I'm sure I will really, really dig the other Fire Emblem games. Now, the most played game on my Switch, I have put probably 400 hours into. This would be Stardew Valley. Now, I know that this is actually a game that you can play on Steam, and there's like all kinds of mods and stuff to play it, which I'm really interested in, but man, there is nothing like winding down at the end of the night, sitting in bed, you know, before I go to sleep, and completing a day or two in Stardew Valley. Like that's why I have so many hours in this game, is because I will sit down and I'll play a day or 2 or 3, and I'll go to bed, and like I will go through these periods of time where I'm doing this for like a month, and that's why I have so many hours in this. And the cool thing is, like, I've got all of these different farms that I have started. So okay, I guess I'll go back. If you don't know what Stardew Valley is, it's a game that you build up a farm, you make friends with the townsfolk that are near the farm, and that's it. It's like a slice of life game with a chore simulator in it. So it's like you're just doing chores and then making friends with people. And like, as you could tell about, you know, my fondness for Fire Emblem Three Houses, I like that kind of like that friend making, you know, romance type stuff in video games, and Stardew Valley has that in spades. And on top of that, the graphics are just really charming, and they throw back to 16-bit graphics. Obviously, the comparison is Harvest Moon, if you've played that game on the Super Nintendo. That was the inspiration for Stardew Valley. I've never actually played Harvest Moon, but man, I love Stardew Valley. I can just sink hours into that game. I've gotten through several farms, but the one farm that I keep coming back to is the first one I started, and I'm in like year 7, and I've got like 8 million gold, and I'm trying to get to that 10 million mark, because there's actually like a item that you can buy for 10 million, and I haven't bought it, but he keeps coming out with these new patches. Like the guy that developed this game keeps coming out with these new patches for the game, and they have all of this content, and it's free. So it's just like this game just keeps giving. It just keeps giving back. I love Stardew Valley. It is, honestly, it's become one of my favorite games of all time. And it probably, I mean, I'd even say like top 3 games of all time at this point. I love Stardew Valley. Definitely look into that game if like chore simulators, but you know, slice of life. Like let's call it a slice of life game. It's a nice slice of life game, and I really think if you like that kind of maybe even you like slice of life anime or something like that, you know, that you could really get into Stardew Valley. But yeah, that's it. So I love my Switch. I have so many games on it that I've been playing. I do want to give some honorable mentions to Dragon Quest XI and Super Mario Maker 2. Those are the other 2 games that are right after the first game I talked about. And I put any more time into either of those, and they'd probably overtake Octopath Traveler, but you know, whatever. 2 good games as well. But yeah, that's my little vlog about Switch games. I've wanted to do this video for a long time, But yeah, just finally got around to it. So definitely check those games out if they are your thing. And that's all I got. What do you like to play on the Switch? Like, what are your 5 games that you've put the most time into? Leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching. Later.